Welcome to another wrap-up of this past week of gaming news. We don't have too much on the hardware side of things this time around, though there is one big thing that I already made a dedicated video on, but we'll still touch on really quick. But there are a lot of announcements as far as individual game stuff goes, whether that's some new release dates being announced or certain things being canceled or pushed back. So, to begin with, let's talk about Paper Mario. This past week, we got the surprise announcement from Nintendo that we are getting a brand new Paper Mario game called Paper Mario: The Origami King. Now, this is something that was rumored in the past before, and the fact that it has been confirmed is causing a lot of people to think that the same rumors it was tied into proves some other releases, for instance, the 35th Anniversary Mario Collection, which, again, that rumor came from supposedly credible sources, and it looks more and more like that's really the case. Now, the thing about this reveal, too, is that with the original rumor, there was talk of the new Paper Mario game going to be a lot more like the classic games, and that is kind of true in this scenario. When the announcement trailer came out and we saw snippets of gameplay, while there is a lot of unknown still and what we saw was mostly kind of a hype-up thing, there has already been some mixed reaction from the fandom. There are a lot of people that really just want a Paper Mario game that plays pretty much identically to Thousand Year Door, which this does not look like it does. However, based on what small snippets we've seen, it does look like the game is closer to that formula than some of the more recent ones. It's not exactly what a lot of people were hoping, but me, personally, I'm willing to give it a chance. Alongside the hope that this also confirms the 35th Anniversary Mario Collection, another rumor that is being spawned as a result of this game's trailer is that the end of the trailer for it gives just a little quick scene of Mario wearing a Metroid helm. Some people are taking this to mean confirmation of some more Metroid news coming very soon. Others are taking it as just a fun little gimmick scene at the end of the trailer, which personally I am more willing to believe. We do already know that Metroid Prime 4 is in the works, and so it is possible that this is kind of teasing and leading into some kind of further announcement, but I'm personally kind of just holding back on that for now. I think it was just kind of a fun moment. Now, there's a reason why I wanted to start off this video talking about Paper Mario: The Origami King, and that's because I think it stands as very good proof to something that I talked about a couple weeks ago, in that Nintendo does not have to rely on Nintendo Directs. There's been a lot of news lately about Nintendo Directs that have been canceled, postponed, been altered, and a lot of people were freaking out as a result, thinking that means that we're not getting any game announcements anytime this year, and that Nintendo's whole 2020 schedule might be in peril. And honestly, I think that's a little bit of an overreaction. Yes, there are going to be games that are impacted by the whole COVID-19 situation, but it doesn't mean that every game that we thought was going to be coming out this year isn't happening. And this is a really good sign of that Nintendo is willing to do standalone announcements like this out of the blue instead of having to rely on some kind of major Nintendo Direct happening every couple months like people were hoping for. Would a full-fledged Nintendo Direct be really cool right now? Yeah, sure, absolutely. Those things are always awesome for getting lots of new game announcements, but clearly Nintendo does not have to rely on them as the only way of making announcements. So it looks like even if we're not getting a Direct until the end of summer or even all the way in fall, we can still look forward to seeing more games announced and released soon. Because, for instance, Paper Mario was just announced, and it's coming out July 27th, which is a pretty close window. In other game-specific news, Summer of Games has officially started kicking off. If that term isn't familiar with you, this is the kind of E3 replacement that IGN and Jeff Keighley have been working on. We're going to just be getting several sporadic announcements strewn throughout the entire summer. And the first two big ones that we got featured the reveal of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 Collection, which is a remake of the original games, which is really awesome. There's a couple aspects of it that are a little weird. A few songs are missing for obvious licensing issues, and really I think the more troubling thing is that the demo for the game is locked into having a pre-order for it, which that's just a whole concept I'm not really a fan of. But those issues aside, the game does look absolutely amazing, and a lot of people have been hoping to see a return of classic-style Tony Hawk games. The other announcement that we got from Summer of Games was the reveal of Unreal Engine 5. Now, this was the video that I did recently talking about what this means for the whole PlayStation 5 versus Xbox Series X situation. The main point is that Unreal Engine 5 looks absolutely insane and is a great proof of concept for what we could be seeing for games happening in the mid-life cycle of these systems. They specifically focused on talking about it for PS5. However, in later clarifications, they did of course mention that Unreal Engine 5 is not limited to just PS5. It is going to be used for Xbox games, PC games, and even the Switch. Something that I didn't mention in my previous kind of more focused video is that they also made a small announcement in regards to, of course, Epic Games' most popular game right now, Fortnite, in that it will be getting a launch day release for both Xbox Series X and PS5, but also down the line in 2021, when Unreal Engine 5 comes out, the game will be getting a revamp based on that engine for those systems. In other positive game release news, 2K has officially confirmed that they're doing a re-release of the Mafia series under the umbrella of Mafia Trilogy. While it does have that overall title, it looks like they are doing the games on an individual basis, however, with a definitive version of Mafia 2 coming out as soon as this week on the 19th, at least based on some Xbox listings that showed up shortly after the announcement, and a more serious remake of the original Mafia will be coming out in August. Lastly, while it's not a brand new game reveal, PlayStation did hold a new state of play to reveal a bunch of gameplay for Ghost of Tsushima. Now this is awesome because we have seen some gameplay from the game before, but it's been a while now, and a lot of what we saw in the past wasn't necessarily fully representative of what the final game would be like, but now that its release is closely on the horizon, what they showed off is a lot more representative of what we'll really be playing, and it looks really, really good. I'm not going to go fully in depth on it. I highly recommend checking it out. It's about almost half an hour of straight up gameplay. They show things like the combat, exploration, character customization. It all has a very heavy Assassin's Creed vibe to me, but in an era that Assassin's Creed hasn't touched yet, which is a good thing. One particular little thing I do want to shout out that I thought was amazing is they actually have a samurai film mode where you can kind of relive the style of old school movies where the entire game is in black and white and features more heavy wind effects. It's just a really neat idea. Now let's talk about some slightly more sad news, as in game delays and even cancellations, although not every game was really ever fully confirmed anyways. So let's start with Guilty Gear. Guilty Gear is working on their newest fighting game, Guilty Gear Strive. It was originally planned for late 2020, but of course, due to everything going on with COVID-19 now, it has claimed another victim of pushing back game releases. In this case, they're giving it a new, still kind of nebulous date of early 2021. Obviously, when you have kind of a launch window like that, there's always a chance that it's going to get pushed back even further, but as of right now, the plan is for the game to come out in early 21. Meanwhile, if you're a big fan of Titanfall, well, there's not really some good news going on right now. The fate of the franchise has been kind of up in the air for a little while now, ever since Apex Legends came out, because that's kind of become the replacement in a lot of ways and has been a lot more successful as far as just straight up numbers of users go. When Apex Legends came out, a lot of people were worried what that would mean for Titanfall, and at the time, Respawn kind of went like, no, don't worry, we are working on some more stuff. There's not necessarily going to be a Titanfall 3 anytime soon, but we do have a spin-off game in the works that was supposed to come out in 2019 and obviously didn't. In a recent interview celebrating the 10th year anniversary of Respawn Entertainment, Vince Zampella made a specific mention that there are currently no plans to release a new Titanfall game anytime soon. It's not necessarily a never kind of situation. The property is there if they want to use it, but as of right now, it looks like Apex Legends is all we're getting. Which, if you enjoy Apex, awesome, that's great for you. But anyone who is excited for a new Titanfall at any point, keep playing 2 at this point. And then as for something that's not necessarily in the super positive or super negative bit of news, BioWare has restated again that they are planning on revamping the major flop that is Anthem. However, the clarification they've made is that it's going to take a lot of time. I think there's a lot of mixed feelings and everything regarding the release of Anthem. I think a lot of people were wanting it to be something a lot more than it was. Just the very basic concept of it is something that's very cool, but the gameplay just did not live up to that expectation. So I think there are people that are hoping they can bring it back to life, but obviously there's going to be a lot of skepticism about that, and it's just going to be something we have to wait on and see if somehow they do manage to fix everything, even if it ends up taking 2 or 3 years. Going back to Nintendo really quick, they've also made the announcement of some new games finally making their way to their Nintendo Online service, in specific 3 SNES titles and 1 NES. For the NES, they'll be bringing Rygar, which is a great 2D action game, and for the SNES, they're bringing back Wild Guns, my personal favorite out of the group, Panel de Pon, which is a fantastic puzzle game that never made its way to the West officially. It kind of did as Tetris Attack, but we never got the original version. So if you want to try that out, it's now coming to the Switch as well. And rounding that list list out is Operation Logic Bomb. All of these games will be making their way to Nintendo Online on May 20th very soon, so I highly recommend checking any of those out if you currently have your subscription running. Also, while we're talking game releases, something that flew completely under the radar for me and I didn't notice until about 2 days ago, one of my absolute favorite simple arcade games that I used to play on my iPhone, called Slayin', has gotten a sequel on the Switch called Slayin' 2. It is a very simple arcadey action game. They've added a story mode in this one that adds a little bit more of like kind of, unlocking stuff and finding new things, but the regular arcade version is there as well. Super fun game. If you're just looking for a new arcade title to play, I highly recommend it, and it's also pretty cheap right now. As far as game releases go for this upcoming week, tomorrow you can look forward to the release of Golf with Your Friends on PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. And also on that same day, at least in the US, you can download digitally Wonderful 101 for PC, PS4, or Switch. If you're in Europe, you're gonna have to wait until the 22nd. Also happening on the 22nd, Saints Row the Third, which was kind of the pivoting moment in the series that made it way more ridiculous, is getting a remastered release on PC, Xbox One, and PS4 as well. That's the news for this week. Keeping this trend going, I'll see you guys next Monday with another news wrap-up and maybe some other videos in between. As always, if you want to see some of my reactions to news as it's going down, you can also follow me on Twitter at Kevin Kenson. I'll see you guys later.